Welcome, American cooks. As you no doubt deduce from the Star-Spangled Banner behind me, you have stumbled upon another episode of the series within a series that we call American Classics. The drum behind me has been filled to bursting with the names not only of edible Americana that we have let slide, but also the names of dishes from other cultures that we have mangled or misadjusted in that biro-mechanical way that only America can. And today's long-suffering victual is... My, what a fascinating fate the drum has foretold. The taco, a dish which, for better or worse, has been fully assimilated into the collective American meal menagerie. An odd choice? Heck no. I mean, I, for one, have always wanted a taco truck, you know, so I could cruise around the neighborhood selling tacos. I mean, I'm not a Mexican chef. I don't even know that much about Mexican food. I'm an American mutt, and that means I've got sandwiches in my blood. Well, heck yeah, the taco's a sandwich, only it's better. I mean, consider the classic sandwich paradigm, you know, as was supposedly invented by the Earl of Sandwich, right? In England, of all places. I mean, it's just two massive slabs of bread shoved full of meat. It's as structurally unsound as it is nutritionally unbalanced. Anyway, I say it's only right that we examine the taco through the red, white, and blue lens of... Most folks that make their home north of the Rio Grande are not aware of the fact that there are many classic taco forms, all of which fall into two categories, all right? There's the breakfast or dinner tacos. There's no such thing as a lunch taco, all right? South of the border, you will find many variations of tacos al pastor, or shepherd's style taco, which oddly enough has its origins in the shawarma of Lebanon. Odd. Thin pork steaks typically are wrapped around a spit and then fire roasted. Vegetables in that as well, like potatoes. We've got beef barbacoa here, tacos. We've got slow roasted beef there. Carnitas, same thing, except with pork. Lingua. This is interesting. Lingua as in language, as in very tasty. And one of my personal favorites, chicharrone, or a crispy pork skin. These are all lovely, but today we're going to concentrate on two classics that have endured great suffering at the hands of gringos like me. Tacos de pescado, fish tacos, and a version of tacos dorados, or fried golden tacos, which came out of New Mexico in the late 40s, and whose fate was sadly sealed by Vincenzo Maldonado, the New York restaurateur who, on July 21st, 1947, filed for patent protection for his new invention. Now, I don't mean this. The hand-fried tortilla taco shell had been around for decades, but rather this, a fried taco shell mold. Although I feel certain that Mr. Maldonado meant no harm, patent number 2,506,305 and its descendants would in mere decades doom the American hard taco to the lowly fate of the drive-through burger. Luckily, we can and will take matters into our own hands. Begin with 12 top quality corn tortillas in the 6 to 7 inch range. Now, if you want to make your own from either a store-bought corn dough or masa or a dry masa mix, then my compliments to the chef. But you might want to take a look around your general vicinity and see if there is a small tortilla factory. You'd be surprised how many there are out there, and they're usually more than happy to sell tortillas right out the front door. And of course, that's supporting local industry, and that's always good eats. Now, I may not be Vincenzo Maldonado, but I still need a shell mold here. So take some heavy-duty aluminum foil and just start rolling it out and folding it over at 10-inch increments until you have 4 thicknesses of foil. There. Then just tear off the foil. I like to use a metal ruler for it. Makes it a little cleaner. Fold the bottom towards the top like you're making an aluminum foil book. Turn 90 degrees, then crimp the top and bottom edges by about an inch of fold over there, and then also the sides, but you don't have to crimp those over hard. We're going to need them to stick out a bit. Then just use either the foil roll or a narrow rolling pin to mold this into a tube shape, but make sure that it can stand up like that. There. Now, Heat 3/4 of a cup of peanut oil in a 12-inch cast iron skillet over medium heat. That's going to take about 5 minutes. I like to use this infrared thermometer to keep an eye on things. The rest of the hardware, you're going to need 2 sets of spring-loaded tongs and a cooling rack on a pan over some newspaper to catch the oil. Kosher salt standing by. Good. When the oil is at the appropriate temperature, and let's see. Well, that's certainly close enough. I'm going to turn down the heat just a little. Now, take your first tortilla, mold it around your form, and then hold it in place with your tongs lightly. You don't want to crush the tube. Hold that straight down into the oil for 20 seconds. Then, turn over onto one side and cook for 30 seconds. Flip, cook for another 30 seconds. I know it's a lot of counting, but it's easy when you get in the rhythm of it. There. Then drain off as much oil as possible and invert onto your cooling rack like this. That needs to cool down for, guess what, 30 seconds. At that point, you can slide the tortilla right off. There.
I like to sprinkle my shells with a little kosher salt while each one is still hot. All right, if you wait until all 12 are done, most of them will be cool and the salt will just bounce right off. So now we repeat 11 more times.
Of course, if you made yourself 2 molds, this would go twice as fast. Now, when you're done, drain off all the fat and return 2 tablespoons, that's 1 ounce, to the skillet and place that over medium heat. As soon as it shimmers, you can bring on 1 medium chopped onion and cook that for 3 to 4 minutes or until it's just brown around the edges. All right, our onions are done. So 2 cloves of garlic, finely chopped, join the party along with a teaspoon of kosher salt and the meat. And I have here 1 pound of good old-fashioned ground sirloin. There. Please note, I did not say hamburger, which can come from any beef primal or trimmings and may have fat added to it up to 30% of its total weight. Nor did I say ground meat, which, depending on how it's labeled, may only differ from hamburger in the fact that fat cannot be added to get it up to 30%, which isn't to say it wasn't already at 30% fat. I did not say ground chuck, which contains an awful lot of connective tissue, nor did I say ground round, which is typically dry and mealy when cooked. What I said was ground sirloin, a perfect mixture of beefy goodness and moisture, which comes from right here, in between the rather dry round and the juicy but expensive short loin. Good girl. Now, if your Mega Mart does not have ground sirloin already in the case, then simply choose an appropriately sized steak or roast and ask your butcher to grind it for you. That's why they're here. Could you?
I could.
Would you?
I would.
Will you?
You got it.
Sweet. So, cook the sirloin for 3 to 4 minutes until deeply brown, stirring occasionally. Tasty, but it's not taco meat until it gets the potion. By potion, of course, I mean the concocted mixture of thickeners and spices that will convert regular ground meat into a flavor fiesta. It took me a few tries, but I think I finally hit pay dirt with Taco Potion number 19. Combine in a stylish glass jar 2 tablespoons of chili powder, that's chili with an I, 1 tablespoon of ground cumin, 2 teaspoons each cornstarch and kosher salt, 1½ teaspoons of hot smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, and ½ teaspoon of cayenne. Bam. Jar up, lid up, shake up, and taco up. 1 entire dose of the potion goes into our meat mixture, and stir that in to thoroughly combine and distribute the cornstarch. Then 2/3 of a cup of good beef broth joins the party. All right, bring this to a simmer and cook uncovered for 2 to 3 minutes so that the cornstarch has time to gelatinize and thicken slightly. That's going to help to hold things together when the taco is loaded. There, that's about as thick as I want it to get, and it'll thicken a little more as it cools down. If you want to hold the meat for service, say on your sweet taco truck, a slow cooker set to low will certainly do the trick. Now, when it comes to building, lettuce and tomatoes are certainly the traditionally accepted toppings, but you know what? I roll simple. So I'm just going to add a little meat to my shell, a few pickled jalapenos for spice, and a little cheese. What's this?
Cheddar? We don't need no stinking cheddar. Cheddar's English. That means that sandwich guy's around here someplace. Curse you, sandwich! Oh, the way I look at it, if you're going to assimilate a culture, you should at least eat their cheese. Mexican quesos can be filed into one of 4 categories: fresh, melting cheeses, aged, and creams. Now, most folks here in the U.S. are familiar with the fresh quesos, queso fresca and queso blanco. But my preferred crumbling cheese for tacos is panela, all right? And it's easily identified by its outer relief, a shout out, or rather a shout back, to its origins as a Greek basket cheese. Now, this is a cow's milk cheese, and the reason I like it on tacos is that unless you hit it with a flamethrower, it absolutely positively will not melt. There, that's more like it. Now, one taco cannot make up for decades of fast food mediocrity, but it's a start. Now, for something completely different. Ensenada, Mexico, has been the culinary epicenter of the fish taco world since the turn of the century. But in the early 80s, it headed north and annexed San Diego, California, where it currently serves as that city's unofficially official dish. Now, as Mexican restaurants around the country have fought to make tacos de pescado their own, terrible mutations have been designed. But listen to this one. Deep-fried salmon, jalapeno slaw, sour cream on soft corn tortilla with caper salsa. Well, if you ask me, one word of that description sounds right: soft. But we can repair the damage. First, we're going to have to make some tortillas. Take 9 ounces of all-purpose flour by weight. It's about 2 cups for a spin, along with a teaspoon of kosher salt, and then pulse in 1/3 cup of lard. What? Where are you going? Look, I realize that in modern American vernacular, the word lard is often followed by bottom or worse, but the truth is, lard is almost certainly better for you than you think. I mean, consider this, all right? Butter, 60% saturated fat, lard 40%, butter only 23%, monounsaturated fat, that's the good stuff, lard 45%. And as for the dreaded trans fats, yes, some commercial lards are slightly hydrogenated. That is, they have hydrogen added to them for shelf stability. But the good stuff, like this, which I rendered myself from the luscious and lovely fat of a Tamworth pig, is completely free of trans fats. Another reason for using lard in any form in tortillas is that it is absolutely authentic, and that is good enough for me. All right, break your lard into chunks and then pulse 10 to 15 times until you've got something that looks like coarse crumbs, just like a pie dough. Then go ahead and let the machine run while you drizzle in 1/2 cup of cool water. Now just spin that until kind of a big sticky mass comes together, just like that. Good. Then dust your work counter with 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Dump on the dough and knead it for about a minute, allowing the dough to take in all the flour that it wants. Don't try to force it all, or the dough may get hard, and that won't be good. This looks just right. Cover with plastic wrap and park at room temp for at least an hour. An authentic Baja fish taco is composed of bits and pieces of whatever fish are being pulled from the coastal waters off Baja on any given day. But really, any light-fleshed fin critter will do, such as members of the snapper family, cod, bass, wahoo, mackerel even, or my personal favorite, tilapia, which is actually a freshwater fish of African extraction, which means it's about as inauthentic to tacos as you can get. But I like tilapia because it is cheap, easy to work with, a nice size, and it's considered sustainable due to its ability to thrive in the aquacultural environment on vegetarian feed. Now, its mild flavor does garner sneers from some fish snobs who say it tastes like chicken. Not sure that being dubbed chicken of the sea is altogether a bad thing, since we're going to heavily marinate it anyway. So I'm going to take a pound of fillets.
Mr. Brown, we've been through this before. The counter is not self-service, okay?
Busted, like Benjamin Bunny.
Coat!
Tilapia is a fine fish, but a little on the mild side for me. So let us now concoct some flavor augmentation. Break out either a mini food processor, or if your large food processor came with a smaller inset work bowl, go with that. Now load in 3 cloves of garlic, about a cup of packed cilantro leaves, the zest of 2 limes, 2 teaspoons of cumin, let's say a teaspoon and a half of kosher salt, and a teaspoon of black pepper. You're going to give that about 20 pulses because we want it chunky, not completely smooth. Then pulse in 2 ounces. That's a quarter of a cup of tequila. I keep a reposado version in the bar at all times, and that's what I suggest you use here as well. Now, when it comes to marinating, you could do this in a baking dish, but I like a big zip-top bag. Just place the fish inside, dump in the tasty green goo, seal the bag, and kind of, mix things up just to make sure you've got good coverage. There, just going to roll that up and let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes. Now, as for the tortillas, we need to break this down into 8 pieces, roughly. And I think it's a lot easier if you kind of roll it into a log. It's kind of fun. There, just split that in half, line it up, split in half, and repeat until you've got 8 balls. Again, they don't have to be perfect. There. Now, to roll each one, kind of form it into a ball and then mash it out flat into a disc, just by hand. Then you're going to have to use some kind of rolling device. A rolling pin or a 1-inch dowel from the hardware store will be fine. I think this one started life as a broom handle, actually. And I'm looking to bring that to about 7 inches in diameter. A little more, a little less would be okay. Then stack them up in a tea towel as you go. That'll keep them separated. You don't want them to stick together. There. Now, once you've got everything rolled out, time to cook. I like just an electric griddle for this, somewhere between 350, 375. Doesn't really matter, anywhere in that range. And you do not need to add any fat to that, okay, especially if it's a non-stick griddle, because there's plenty of fat already in the tortillas. I'll let them cook about 4 minutes per side. They are going to blister some. That's fine. Don't worry about it. That'll collapse when we flip them. When you've got a little brown, roll them over and cook for another few minutes or until they look like they are equally done. Now, I like to keep an electric heating pad on medium covered with just a barely damp tea towel for storage as I go. That'll keep them nice and moist because they will get crunchy if you let them sit around at room temp too long. There, that looks perfect. I'll keep those covered. Flour tortillas freeze well too. Just griddle them, cool them, and place a piece of parchment between each and seal in a freezer bag. An airtight seal is critical because lard is mostly unsaturated fat and is therefore like Velcro for stinkiness and flavors that might be floating around down there.
Now, the griddle is still at 375, which is perfect for the fish. So I'm just going to lube that up with a tablespoon of olive oil. That'll enhance the browning. And just lay on the fish. You're going to cook 3 to 4 minutes on each side or until the surface looks, well, just like that. That's golden brown and delicious. Flip the pieces, cook another 3 to 4 minutes. And in the meantime, let's contemplate my secret sauce.
The gooey contents of this humble squeezer may appear to be sour cream, but it's not. It's crema, a slightly fermented version of cream, akin to creme fraiche, only with a punch. Where do you buy it? You don't. You make it.
Just place a cup of heavy cream in a glass jar and microwave it until it hits just under 100 degrees, anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on your microwave. When you are certain of your thermal destination, as I am, add 1 tablespoon of buttermilk, okay? Then apply the lid and give it a good shake before parking it in a warm spot for 1 to 2 days. After that time, don't be shocked to see this. It'll be curdled, almost like yogurt. That's good. Now add 1 chipotle chili, the kind that are packed in adobo sauce, a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, and then hit it with your stick blender. Process until the consistency of heavy cream,
and chill. As a finishing touch, irreplaceable.
Now, when you remove the tilapia from the griddle, don't be shocked if it falls apart a little. That's just the way the tilapia is. Looks good.
And now, we assemble taco number 2, all right? A flour tortilla, a little squirt of crema to act as glue to hold the fish on, which you can see I have cut into strips. After that, we'll put on a little bit of cabbage, which is nice, and some lime juice for acidity, and of course, a little more crema. Well, that's going to be it. I'm a simple man with simple tastes, and I don't like my tacos piled up like somebody, dropped a salad bar out of the sky. Well, I hope that we've inspired you to take tacos into your own hands. Not only are they versatile, fun, nutritious, and delicious, they can beat the bread off of any sandwich I know. Here you go, fancy pants. Why don't you try a real sandwich? Like so many other dishes that we hold near and dear, from chicken and dumplings to hot dogs to apple pie, the taco may have been born into a very different culture, but don't think for a moment that they don't qualify as good eats. Till next time, adios, amigos.